Get ready, son, let's go. Come on. It's Friday night. It's Friday night live. It's Friday night. It's Friday night with Cat Carter. It's Friday night. Hey. It's Friday night. It's Friday night. Yeah. It's Friday night with Cat Carter. It's Friday night. It's Friday night live. It's Friday night. It's Friday.
Hey, welcome to Friday Night Live. I am your host, Cat Carter. How is everybody doing on this Friday? Oh, wow. I tell you what, I have two returning guests, and they are so unique in what they produce. It's just so like you're just amazed, and you sit and you just like, while you listen to them. Bill and Chuck are back in the house. OMG, OMG. I can't wait. But let's do some housekeeping first, and then I'm going to have both of them here. I have kidnapped them for the entire hour, and we're going to have some great conversation. So first off, we want to say happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. We want to thank you for your service. Thank you so much. All right. And then also, you guys know that we are back home. Everything is well. We are home. For those of you who do not know, a 50-foot tree hit our house, and we had been living in a hotel for like 3 months. But we are back home. We are settled, and we are happy. It just feels good to be back in my own bed, y'all. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Jesus. All right. So Chuck Corbisiero earned a BFA in music performance and arranging from City College of New York under Gil Evans, later working with Eddie Arnold, and now performs regularly with Orchard and Zoom, led by John Mills. He plays both the guitar and upright bass fiddle, specializing in jazz, blues, and Brazilian. Bill Cushing, also known as, or they call him the blue collar, by his classmates that are poets. He earned his MFA in writing at Goddard College in Vermont. His work has appeared worldwide, and he has 4 poetry collections available. He retired from Mount SAC in 2020, but he continues teaching there as well, facilitating weekly writers' workshops. So they were at it. They did an event this past Saturday. So I'm going to play a snippet of that, and then we're going to bring both of them into the studio. Y'all ready? So get your beverage of choice, your tea, your water, or whatever it is, and enjoy.
And all my Miles Davis stuff, and just started drinking and listening and writing. And this is the poem that sort of came out of that particular weekend, so to speak. So yeah, and it's very autobiographical. So this is Music Isn't About Standing Still and Being Safe. Listen. 2 weeks after you died, 250,000 thronged by the St. John's River to hear the music you had spawned, hoping to see you, but even in death, you never looked back. They were all there: Hannibal, Bird, Chick, Jojo, Red, Jocko, Bean, Dizzy, my favorite, Freddie Freeloader. Isolated you were a beacon, a flagship for messages of the heart. Back to the crowd, unbowed, that proud dance walk announced by muted horn that spoke and broke through all the bull and told us about a place miles ahead of everyone else. You spent a lifetime thinking for yourself, speaking to every generation, playing it all: jazz, blues, funk, rock, fusion. Categories took a back seat to creativity and rhythm, space and feeling, spirit. I remember 4th grade picking up a horn, then laying it down. Rock and roll was my world. What did I know? 7 years later, I heard it was in the garden where you brought me back to music. I walked all the way home, miles from that train station, my head pounding with sounds, frantic fast as the subway I spent the night on. Those African rhythms you used decades before anyone else even thought to, filling my head, letting me know I'd have it all down cold if I could walk, as cool as the notes you heard coming from miles. You had that thing, that style, that spark that was a blue flame, jumping off a gas stove, igniting everything, everywhere, touching the genetic resonant frequency and all. Thanks a lot. And since we're both big jazz aficionados, this was sort of the follow-up. Oh. Charles, are you going to read with us?
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, oh, absolutely. And make sure you get one of the books before you get out of here. So another big jazz figure, and of course this is the guy that brought Miles to the fore, really, is Charlie Parker, and this is my poem about him. This is Listening to Bird. Flying through scales, he did the impossible, stretching staccato sounds, stopping only to change direction. He found places in his search for every note not imagined, leaving chromatic gravity, breaking confines, shooting up into infinity. Then he rested, hanging on a single random chord, bending branches of music but never breaking them, lingering wherever he chose, staying just long enough to make it his territory and his alone. So that was.
All right, let me bring them to the stage or to the studio. Please welcome back Chuck and Bill. Oh, y'all dark.
Oh, hey there.
Okay, move light.
What y'all?
Have to, coming out of the darkness. Well, at least we're not sneaking up on you like trees tend to do.
No.
Yeah, he's gonna.
That's okay. How is everything going, Bill?
Great,
How you
great,
doing?
and thanks
How you
for
doing?
having us back and showcasing that last act we did. Although technically it wasn't. We did one this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, my son goes to Easter Seals, which is a community program for disabled people, and every Friday they do a poetry bit, and the guy who runs it, I said, well, Chuck is going to be in town for this show, and we could stop by and do a quick routine for them. So yeah, we went over there this morning and performed for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Awesomeness. Awesomeness.
Yeah.
Well, we are so excited to have you back on FNL. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. It's been a minute since you've been back. Chuck was just saying right before we got on, when did we come on last? And we figured it out that you all were here when we were shut down.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple of years. So this is just very exciting. So I'm going to dive right into it because we have so many projects and things that we want to share with the audience. How did you come up with the unique idea for poetry and music? Who or what inspired you to?
That you got to credit Chuck for.
All right.
He was the one who came up with the idea, and we have, of course, our backstory is that we grew up across the street from each other in New York. Then in 1970, I went into the Navy and disappeared from town for years. And Chuck, in the meantime, went on and lived his own life. And it was 2016. I was in LA and found out he was in LA, and it was actually the Miles Davis poem that brought us together, because I was promoting that book that part of, and that we did a big reading in downtown LA. And I said, do you want to come in? So great. And afterwards we caught up, and he said, well, what do you think of getting together, and I'll play music and you read your stuff. And I always like to say I told him right away that, Chuck, the one thing you never do is ask a poet if he wants to read his work, because the answer is always going to be yes. So
yes.
This is your fault. And so we've been doing this off and on ever since. He bounces between here and New York quite a bit. So when he gets back into town here, we try and get something going.
How long have you all been working together, like collaborating together?
Well, 2016, so it's been what, 7 years now.
Yeah,
Wow.
years.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you enjoy most about what you do together with the poetry and the music?
Well,
Well, it gives me a chance to improvise because Bill has written his poems out, so the script is the same usually, but the intonation may be different in the timing. So what I try to do is come up with something that's complementary, but it's usually something different every time, or it's slightly different in different places.
Mm-hmm.
I'm improvising, but Bill has composed his poetry. So it's like I'm stream of thought, and he's written his compositions. So it's meeting of the two worlds.
I think it gels really, really nice together to have the poetry and the music playing at the same time. And I think it has a lot to do with the choice of instrument that you choose, Chuck, to do with the poetry as well. And I'm pretty sure you probably listen to whatever Bill is going to talk about and figure out the instrumental part. But it just gels so really, really, it gels really, really nice together.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Um, so, how do you all balance what you do with your other obligations, such as like family? I know Bill is retired, so he's probably just having him a good old time. Chuck, are you retired?
Uh, I'm retired too.
Both of you all are retired. Okay, so what do you all?
I'm retired. I'm 63,
Oh, wow.
and so I'm basically retired, but I still work. I still perform,
Hmm.
uh, but I don't have a day job that I go to anymore.
So, is it hard
And
to balance your other obligations like family and other things that you have to
it
take
is
care of?
because I have my mom in New York. She's 89, and then I have my kids out in L.A. And my wife had since passed in
I'm
2011.
sorry.
Thank you. But so I have two families going on. I mean, and my daughter's now moved to Texas. So she's in Austin teaching. She
Okay.
teaches high school,
Okay.
high
Okay.
school math. So it is kind of performing. Anytime that you're an entertainer, the family life is definitely we got you have to
Got the
compromise.
challenges. Hmm.
Yeah,
What about you, Bill?
well, I still do teach a class, like one a semester, just to keep my hand in it and make a little extra money too. But I've been able to actually, since retiring now, I've devoted most of the work to my own writing. So this year is going to be very productive for me because I had a new book of poems come out in February. Then in July, I had a collection of short stories got released.
Hmm.
And now I'm looking at the end of this month, I'll have two new books out, both of them nonfiction. One of them is actually, it's the one I'm looking for. The one I really look forward to, it's called Heroic Brothers of the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
And it's about two of my cousins who fought in the Civil War and just the impact they had on the battles they were involved in.
Hmm.
And I'm really looking forward to that one. And then the other one is just a collection of my own memories, basically. It's just a bunch of short nonfiction pieces following my life from about 6 months old till about maybe 8, 9 years ago.
Wow. What is your creative process like? I'm gonna ask both of you all that, but first you, Bill, like with poetry. Like I know you write about your life, but do you write about anything else besides
I
your
write
life?
all kinds of weird
What
stuff.
is that? Tell me about like how does like are you sleeping? You wake up and you're like, and you have to
That
write.
happens on occasion, or mostly I always have paper and pen with me, and maybe I'll see something in the street and jot it down, and then later on develop it into something. Uh,
Wow.
so it's been a lot of fun. In fact, one of the things we were thinking of is tonight, maybe if we get a chance, we'll do one of our improv pieces, which is a fairly new piece. Uh, but yeah, a lot of it's autobiographical, but a lot of it is also writing about, for example, today I have a poem called Alpha Dreams, which is basically getting into the head of a wolf as he sleeps at night. And what does a wolf dream about at night? Uh,
Food.
So,
Eating? Food? Does a wolf dream about food?
well, about
Eating?
hunting, basically. That seems to be what they would think
Hunting?
about.
Mm-hmm.
But
What
it
about
was
you,
just,
Bill? I mean, what about you, Chuck? How is your creative process like when you get the poetry? How do you figure out how to play with the
Well,
melodies, or how does that work?
it's a good question. It's basically imagery, and I use like when I hear the words and the intonation and the feeling, the tonality of it. I try to draw on some memory that I have in the past, or some sense, and then usually like my fingers will go somewhere to a song or something that this that the poem inspires me to.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just let it happen, and just and then maybe the next time I'll say, "Oh, I don't want to do that one again," or I'll do something a little different. But
Okay.
yeah, I just it's very spontaneous. But I just go by feeling, and then I do go by some kind of imagery from my past.
Wow, that's interesting. One of the uh, one of the viewers, Auntie Ada, said, "Little piggies, the wolves. They think about the little piggies,
Yeah.
huff, puff, blow the house down."
yeah, I should take it from their point of view sometime.
All right, so let's take a break and do segment one, nature. So, tell us a little bit about what we're getting ready to
Well,
experience.
Chuck and I grew up by the water. And so that figures a lot into the stuff I do. Now, this segment actually also has a piece. It ends so it starts with the poem called Sailing, and we both grew up sailing, and something I still love doing. And then I've always admired pelicans. I think they're like the coolest bird around. Uh, and then the last one is it's called The Nature of Snow. And it's inspired by, of course, I went to school in Vermont. My mom was from Vermont, so I spent a lot of time up there. Uh, so it's just images that I recall from being up in the mountains when it snows. So here again, but that's we sort of group them together as all right. These are poems about nature to us, or
Okay.
at least.
Okay. Well, let's check it out.
Sailing for Joseph Conrad. I have always taken the 4 a.m. watch, those 3 hours before dawn when, inhaling the moist sweetness of a new day, we awake and escape last night's darkness, leaving technology to experience quiet and primitive satisfaction. The ocean rushing underneath, its volume dependent upon current hull speed, spills of phosphorescent wake, the only natural source of light besides the moon. Rolling up and down, swaying into balance on the balls of my feet while cradling the warmth of a mug's contents. Soon, an orange sliver appears and grows as the sun finds the seam in the weld that fixes sea to sky. Pelicans. Slowly circling, the pelican drops like a stone into water. Then climbing the air, he stops and, with a single motion of wings, glides on the wind. The nature of snow is entirely unnatural. As it descends naturally, it seems to move more sideways than down, and at the same speed, so that when watching from an insulated interior, it becomes difficult to tell whether it floats down or the world rises. When it falls during times of sleep or introspection, it gives no warning. Looking up, unaware, you realize it is just there, as though the world has always been this white and deep. It falls silent, not echoing on eaves or streets. It does not crunch so much as it squeaks when shoe soles press down, compressing it into complaints, smothering all sounds but those resulting from its own condition. Drifts create an anechoic atmosphere. Even dogs become more silent in it. Snow resides above nature. It grows in layers, shifting later to other shapes, barricading buildings, isolating greenhouses from warmth, covering a solitary chair in the middle of a field. Snow settles on tree limbs and leaves like a soft, white mold.
All right. That was nice. That was beautiful.
Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
especially that snow. Yeah, that snow, it was just so beautiful. I want to eat that snow. Is that the snow I'm not supposed to eat, Cheryl? It's
That's
the yellow
yellow
snow.
snow.
Yeah.
It ain't lemonade.
It ain't lemonade. That was beautiful. That was
Thanks.
beautiful. Did you all enjoy the first segment that we just did? It had to do with nature. So we listened to sailing, the pelicans, and nature of snow. Wow.
By the way, I want to throw one thing in there for those who
Yes.
are watching the sailing video. Toward the end, one of those boats that you see is actually one of my own personal pictures, and it's the name of the boat is Chanty, and it's I swear it is the sailboat that most everybody in my town when I was growing up cut their sailing teeth on. It was owned by a guy named Doug Fleming. He'd always take kids out with him, and
Hmm.
most of us learned how to sail on that boat.
Wow. Would you say that sailing is a hobby of yours?
I'd say
Of you
it's an
two?
obsession.
He's telling the truth.
So,
I love it. I've been doing it since I was 5. Um, just it's to me, it's the ultimate way to relax, even though you're
wow.
working like hell.
Oh, you know what? You all are lucky that I don't live close to you guys because I would be like, can I go with y'all? Y'all
Yeah.
going out?
Definitely, you can go.
Although I
What?
love telling the
I
story,
would
but
love to go.
my wife
Man.
never sailed until we met, and the first time I took her out, we rented just a small 14-footer, nothing big, but little day sailor. And we get in the boat, and she lays down in the bench of the cockpit. And I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm relaxing." I said, "No, you're sailing.
Yeah.
It's work."
So, are there certain bodies of water that you like to sail, or does it
Oh,
matter? Or
well, of course, now I lived in Puerto Rico, so I sailed down there. Of course, we were from New York, did a lot of it there. I would have to say Puerto Rico was probably the best sailing. I mean,
wow,
you're right in the Caribbean. It's nice and warm. Uh, the conditions are the problem with New York is it gets cold very fast, and the problem with out here is once you get out of the Pacific, it gets pretty rough. The Pacific is probably the worst named ocean in the world because there's nothing passive about it.
oh wow, Cheryl, it sounds like we need to do a road trip. I want to go on a sail.
Well, anytime you're ready, let me know.
Oh my goodness, that
We
would be
gon'
wonderful.
Are we gonna get our what about Bob on
What about Bob?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Lake Winnipeg?
Oh, Lake Winnipesaukee. I
yeah,
don't think they do Lake Winnipesaukee.
Winnipesaukee.
Winnipesaukee, excuse me.
yeah.
Do y'all know about the What About Bob movie?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
I'm
my
a big
goodness.
Bill Murray fan. I love his stuff.
Oh, that was Cheryl's favorite. I don't know why
It
she
still
enjoyed.
is.
Oh,
She
really?
loves that movie.
Okay.
Okay. What other hobbies or interests do you all have that you would like to share with us that nobody would think?
Hmm. Well, I haven't done it in a while, but I used to fence, and I really need to get back to that. Just it's a great exercise, um, but just out of laziness, I haven't done anything. So
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Chuck?
Well, my mom's a real has a real green thumb, so I'm the one doing the gardening now. So she can
Oh,
get a
okay.
lot of these assignments during the summer. But I know about chrysanthemums. I know about bushes and rhododendrons and cypress and hinoki cypress. Uh, I just put a new hedge in the front of my mom's house,
Wow.
so I'm learning how to do that. You know, and a lot of her friends are these guys who grow roses and chrysanthemums, and it's really funny. My dad used to say, "Tell them not to call while we're having dinner." 'Cause they would call about these flower shows coming up because my mom was like the president, you know.
Hmm.
I would just get home from work, and he's like, "Is that Ralph Snodgrass again?" Because these really nerdy guys would call, you know. So I guess I don't know. I probably don't. People don't probably picture me with flowers, but some I'll support these beautiful chrysanthemums to her flower shows for her. So
Anything for mom, right?
yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right. How would you describe the projects that you all typically create? How would you describe them?
ooh. Well, it depends. I think it depends on the audience, where we're, the venue, things like that. For example, when we went to the show, the Culturama last Saturday,
Hmm.
we made a point of look. There's going to be families there. There's going to be kids. You just got to stay away from certain material that that you don't want. You don't want to see people covering their kids' ears up.
Yeah, that's wisdom. Know your audience, right?
And so
Yes.
that's a big part of it. And then also, I think it's just what's going on. At any given time. Uh, because a lot of my poems, not a lot, but some of them deal with historical events,
Hmm.
uh, that kind of thing. So if we're close to, like I have, obviously, I think everybody who writes poetry probably has a 9/11 poem somewhere, and I've got one. So if we're doing a show, September, October, we'll usually bring that in,
Okay.
kind of thing.
All right. Well, let's go to segment number 2. This has to do with skyscrapes versus nature. Tell us about what we're about to watch.
Well, this will have, okay, so it starts with a poem I wrote called Trash, uh, which is just my image of basically homeless people, uh, and their relationship to what we throw away. And then it goes into, and this is actually the first serious poem I ever wrote, it's called In Pink Neon. And just to let everybody know, I'm trying to replicate Tom Waits in this. So if you like him, you might enjoy this piece. And then it ends up with Blues for Earth, which is something I wrote back in the 90s for Earth Day, when I was doing a presentation for the annual or the April Earth Day celebration or marking. So those are the three pieces that make up this segment.
Okay, y'all, let's check it out.
Trash. Out of early morning he comes, like a vendor peddling wares. Aluminum cans rattle in the steel shopping cart as he rattles along. Scouring dumpsters for 12-ounce ore, his time is spent traveling streets pitted with old flip-tops and discarded cigarette butts, fossils in asphalt. Living with garbage, the end result of civilization, he collects society's cast-offs, only to return them, begin the cycle again. In pink neon, chrome and black tile at breakfast again, Coffee so strong it pulls your eyelids back going down. And while last evening's drunks with 5 a.m. shadows use it to try to face the new day, women, legs on spiked heels, lift leather skirts to reveal specialties of the house, initiating a physical negotiation, trading the tangible for currency. Enclosed, cuffed hand, scaling triangle of whole wheat drips from sunny side up. A single waitress covers ground. Butter, warmed by sun shining through slatted glass, slowly rolls down a stack of brown pancakes. Silverware clatters. China against china, napkin falls, voices chatter, while outside in pink neon, a sign glows, best food in town, and it is. Blues for Earth. To alter nature we build bridges, sidewalks, structures, doing our damnedest to undo the rolling wonder of this planet. We deny ourselves nature. All bureaucratic efforts amount to litter. All our rubbish should be outlawed as a crime against God or nature or whatever or whichever or whomever is responsible for this planet. Even billboards and highways should be dismantled. Looking around anywhere, everywhere, we're cutting into the earth, coordinating straight lines, constructing corners, conforming us all right angles, boxing us in, boring us, placing everyone into categories: consumer, provider, predator, peak of the food chain. Perhaps the really intelligent animals traded in opposable thumbs for fins, dew claws.
It was hard for me to concentrate after looking at those pancakes. I'm sorry. Oh, have you all eaten at the diner, the TikTok diner? Have you eaten there?
No, but growing up in New York, we have had our share of diners.
Oh, wow, that was really good.
But by the way, I do want to give a shout out to, and his name came up before, but Kevin Cardenas, who did the video production
Yeah,
on our stuff. He did a top-notch job.
He did. Kevin was great.
yeah. The pictures, the everything that we were seeing, the visual was like really something, and then
Yeah.
hearing the music in the background. Wow, like the visuals were perfect for the poem. Yeah, I think so. Excellent job. All right. Let's see. Let's do maybe two questions, then we're going to do our trivia and let them know what we're going to be giving away tonight, and then we'll keep going.
Okay.
Um, what has been the highlight of your career so far?
As doing this work,
Yeah.
God, well,
What was the Lit Fest that we did?
Yeah,
You
probably,
won that award.
yeah.
What was the award that you won?
What
Uh,
award was it?
we did a lit festival, and
You won that award for music.
the Music Speaks. Yeah,
Music Speaks.
the Music Speaks book, which is
He's so modest.
well, but it's a collection of poems that I've written about music and musicians, and it won. Yeah, it won a. In 2019, it took the chapbook category for the San Gabriel Valley Poetry Festival. But then later on, I was so pleased with the result that I took it and I refigured it into a much slicker version with illustrations and things like that. And then I submitted it to the New York City Book Awards and got a third place with it there. So I was really happy with that one.
Okay.
But as far
Um,
as the both
yep.
of us are concerned, I'd have to say the high point is going to be this one last week because we're getting paid for the gigs.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that's good.
that's right.
It's
That's
always
good thing.
nice when you get a
I'm on
check.
payroll now with that no. But I have to say, as a musician, uh, you know, the people think, well, are you going to be famous? It's really not about being famous. It's about being competent as a musician, because the music speaks for itself. So all the accoutrements and the awards, it's great, but the music, when you record it like a performance, it's frozen in time forever now,
Yeah.
with YouTube. So for me, as an improviser, um, just performing and being competent and reaching people, and uh, not having to worry about what people think or what the critics think, or the record companies.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very
Mm-hmm.
blessed to get this far in music, um, for me. So it's like I feel good about what we're doing now with the poetry.
Yeah. Okay. Brian Barzy, who is actually from the Boogie Down Bronx, he said he agrees. He agrees with what you just said, Chuck. All
Thank you.
right. So, what are we going to be giving away tonight?
Well, I guess that's up to you.
Oh,
Um,
here it is. Tell us about this.
all right. Well, this is the first book. Chuck and I put this together. It's a short volume. Uh, Contains, I don't know, about 29, 30 pages of poems that we have performed, um, in various stages and that sort of thing. So it's a combination of poems about music, obviously, but it's also got a lot of others. Uh, I think you mentioned the Cusqueños about Peru,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in there. Uh,
Okay. We're going to be listening to that a little bit later.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
also the Pelicans is in there, the sailing is in there. So just about everything that's on our YouTube channel is in here, uh,
Okay.
and that's that one. Uh, I don't
Okay.
know if you want to fiddle around with the music speaks or not, but
We can show it. We'll show it a little bit later.
okay.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do a trivia and we're going to be giving two of these away. So after I show the question, we're going to go into the next segment, which is music and miscellaneous. You all tell us about what we're getting ready to listen to.
Well, that one, it's actually, and we thought it'd be a nice compare and contrast because it's the two pieces you showed earlier live, and then it ends up with a mountain waterfall at a mountain waterfall, which is one of my memories of when I lived in Puerto Rico.
Okay. All right. Well, sit back and relax. We're going to do the trivia right quick and we're going to go right into the segment. All right. Stay tuned. You all relax a little bit. Bill and Chuck will be right back. Okay, here is the trivia question for tonight. Since it is, what holiday is in November, Cheryl?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. All right. So here is the question. How many calories on average are consumed per person at a Thanksgiving dinner? Is it 2,500, 3,500, 4,500, or 5,500? Put what you think it is in the comments. We're going to find out a little bit later what the answer is. We're going to pick two winners. All right.
I know.
And
All right.
the fortunate thing is that one of those answers is correct.
All right. Let's listen to Bill and Chuck.
Listening to Bird. Flying through scales, he did the impossible, stretching staccato sounds, stopping only to change direction. He found places in his search for every note not imagined, leaving chromatic gravity, breaking confines, shooting up into infinity. Then he rested, hanging on a single random chord, bending branches of music, but never breaking them, lingering wherever he chose, staying just long enough to make it his territory and his alone. Music isn't about standing still and being safe. Listen, 2 weeks after you died, 250,000 thronged by the St. John's River to hear the music you had spawned, hoping to see you, but even in death you never looked back. They were all there: Hannibal, Bird, Chick, Jojo, Red, Jocko, Bean, Dizzy, my favorite, Freddie Freeloader. Isolated, you were a beacon, a flagship for messages of the heart. Back to the crowd, unbowed, that proud dance walk announced by muted horn that spoke and broke through all the bull and told us about a place miles ahead of everyone else. You spent a lifetime thinking for yourself, speaking to every generation, playing it all. Jazz, blues, funk, rock, fusion. Categories took a back seat to creativity and rhythm, space and feeling, spirit. I remember 4th grade, picking up a horn, then laying it down. Rock and roll was my world. What did I know? 7 years later, it was in the garden where you brought me back to music. I walked all the way home, miles from that train station, my head pounding with sounds frantic fast as the subway I spent the night on. Those African rhythms you used decades before anyone else even thought to, filling my head, letting me know I'd have it all down cold if I could walk, as cool as the notes you heard, coming from miles. You had that thing, that style, that spark that was a blue flame, jumping off a gas stove, igniting everything everywhere, touching the genetic resonant frequency in all. At a mountain waterfall, water slaps my face, forcing my eyes shut as we climb, crab-like, scuttling platform to platform along the rocks that form an opening not more than a half-foot across, and from that 6-inch aperture, water shoots out and down. Rocks run in steps, handholds, some jut out with holes in them. Vines crawl down and, nourished by water that splashes, runs, pounds, and flows, begin to take root as they touch down on another base of rock. Holding a stone shaped like an axe blade, as big as my hand and as thick and almost as flat, except for one hard wart at the broader end. Other men might have been here using rocks like this one, chipping them into tools and weapons. This island reminds one of all things primitive.
All right. That was good.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was really, really good. All right. Would you believe we are the show is almost over?
Yep.
It went fast. But I did want to make sure I gave you an opportunity if you wanted to do an improv or if you wanted to
Yeah, we thought we would do one if we could. And this is actually, it's in my last book of poems, which is titled Just a Little Cage of Bone. And I have to give Chuck credit because he's sort of the one who inspired it. We were talking one day about our first job, and I reminded him of somebody that actually he worked for as well, I believe. But at any rate, this is called First Work. At 10, I sought my first paycheck from Mr. Kunstler, the old man across the street, wheezing on a porch stoop, laid low by emphysema. I'd hear his body struggle, trying to sing songs he'd sung when young, now chained to heavy tanks to inflate his lungs. Each Saturday, he'd sit behind a roll-top desk, retrieve his ledger to sign the check I earned, dragging their 2 metal trash cans to the curb 3 times a week. When needed, I cut the grass, shoveled snow from the walk. His signature scrawled and jagged, the only flourish he had left in him. But a half-century before, he'd been a warrior, a Basque who'd fought Franco, an armed fury riding horseback through the forests or across mountains that spanned the Spanish border. On days he wasn't hindered by breathlessness, he'd recall those years, invading the plains, then sleeping on stone beds or hiding huddled around clandestine fires set after scaling those coastal steppes. Once he croaked the words, Akatasuna eta Heraldar, freedom and country. And in that moment, his face brightened, his back straightened, and he seemed to shed age. Often, my jobs done, his wife of 60 years sat with me at their kitchen table. She poured homemade lemonade, fed me slices of burnt cheesecake. From our country, she'd say, her aged eyes fixed on her own distant memory. After he died, she tripled my pay to thank me for returning her husband a measure of pride.
Wow. I am. Some of the viewers are putting in the comments that they're really enjoying this, and like, I was just thinking, like, this is so soothing. Like after a hard day, just to sit back and just,
Mhm.
because sometimes I tell you what I do. Sometimes when I'm really worn out or tired, and I just want to relax, I'll put on like nature videos, or that is it called white noise?
Yeah, the
But I
white
like
noise
the,
generators.
but
Yeah,
this right here, I think would be even better. Like for real, it's just so soothing and
and we'll do bar
relaxing.
mitzvahs too.
Um, yes, yes, yes. All right. So, what advice would you give an aspiring young poet, Bill, or a instrumentalist, Chuck?
Well, I would say if you're going to play music and you're getting towards college, you got to just do it for the love of it. You can't be a music student just to think you're going to make a living at it. You got to really be committed to it. So, you know, remember, if you're going to be a musician, it's a life decision. But doesn't mean you can't do other things to make money. Not everybody's cut out to be a music teacher or a music professor, even if they have a degree. Because that's usually what happens. People end up becoming a teacher. You don't have to do that. You could, but it's a good way to stay solvent in society.
Mm-hmm.
But just remember, if you're going to be a musician, you have to be 100% doing it. It doesn't matter what other people think.
That's good. What about you, Bill?
I think, and of course, I came into poetry very late in life, so I think my advice is you got to take with a grain of salt. But I say you got to be willing to take a lot of risks and put yourself out there and be ready to take the slings and arrows. In fact, I was thinking Chuck said if you want to be a musician, you have to be committed to it. I would say if you want to be a poet, you might as well just be committed. Uh, uh, it's something that you do. I think it's that idea of passing on your own life to others and letting
Mm-hmm.
them see how you saw things, and hopefully it works.
Okay. Do you have any projects or upcoming events, or we can talk about any new books that you want to spotlight? We can do
Well,
that right now.
I mentioned earlier, yeah, I've got the two new ones coming out, hopefully at the end of the month. If anybody's interested, they can write me at the Yahoo address and find out. Uh, I'll have everything ready. Then I'm going through the proofs now.
Hmm.
Um, that's my biggest one, and then I'm also finishing up several other projects now, which I'm going to start revising. So next year will be mostly one of editing and revision.
Okay. And then you have this book that is available. Tell
Hmm.
us about this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Music Speaks book, and that's the one that
You want to work?
won the awards. And like I say, it's a collection. It's a much slicker paper. It's got illustrations to go with the poems, and it starts with actually Mussorgsky and some classical music, but I've got
Hmm.
Ruby Blake in there, Nina Simone. Uh, I even have some rock and roll uh, stuff like that. It's just a bunch of. It's all poetry about either music or musicians.
Okay.
It's kind
What?
of a semi coffee table book, if you
Oh,
will.
okay. I do have a copy of that. I have a copy of both of those books. You
Okay.
all, when you all came the last time, you sent them to me. What about you, Chuck?
Um, well, I have my local gigs in New York and in California, as we did this weekend, and then I have something coming up on December 9th with John Mills, son of Don Mills of the Mills Brothers. I believe that is on December 9th in Huntington Beach. But if people email me, I can give the particulars. I'm not so sure exactly where it's at, but I know it's on the West Coast. We have a gig next week in New York um, at the Douglaston Country Club. I play there Fridays when I'm in town, usually 2 Fridays a month. And then I'm playing with the Orchids in Zoom, which is a fusion band of R&B classics, uh, soul, and John Mills is the leader of that project. We've been working
Okay.
on that for about a year and a half now, so we have some gigs coming up there as well. But anybody who's interested, just shoot me an email, and I'll have I can give them that.
Okay. All right. I want to bring my daughter on so we could do some Cheryl shout outs and see who's hanging out with you, came to support you today. And then we're going to find out who wins tonight. And we're going to end it with uh, segment number 3. Cus, cus,
Cusqueños.
cus, cus, cusqueños. Am I saying? I'm going to get it. Cusqueños. What does that mean?
Well, that's the tribe, the indigenous tribe of Cusco. It's sort of the
Oh,
last Incas, if you will. Uh,
okay.
so yeah, Cusco is a
Cusco.
city in Peru. That before you go to Machu Picchu, you go to Cusco.
Okay. So we'll end it with that. Let me get Cheryl on so we can see who's in the chat. There she is.
Hi, Sherryl.
Our,
Hey, I just had a Twilight moment because have you guys ever seen The Emperor's New Groove?
say it again.
The
Say it
Emperor's
in.
New Groove
Say it in
with,
the
with
mic.
David Spade.
Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you all hear what Cheryl said?
No, I couldn't catch it.
Yeah, they can't. They didn't hear you.
I just had a Twilight moment. Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, the Emperor's New Groove. That's about the Peru. Yeah,
Cusco. Yeah, Cusco.
Cusco's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just had like a weird Twilight moment because I was like, holy, that's based on like real people.
Oh yeah.
That's the wow. Okay, hi.
All right.
Neurospicy here. All right, let's see who we got here. We have first and foremost our moderator over on Twitch, Miss Karan Edmonds, holding it down. Good to see you, girl. Happy Friday. We also have my auntie Ada hanging out with you on YouTube. Good to see you. Have an auntie T on Facebook hanging out with you. You got Miss Marilyn Ford hanging out with you on YouTube, one of our regulars. We have Miss Kimberly Butler on Facebook hanging out with us as well, and like another regular. Um, we have Miss Earlsine Gerald tuning in here. Another regular tuning in with hanging out with you. We have Mr. Brian Barzy tuning in with us, who's a fellow poet as well, hanging out with you. Um, we have we also have K Ward Radio tuning in with us on YouTube. Hello, and I think that's it.
Okay. We do have people in the Lurk Lounge. They're not really saying anything. They're just watching, which is fine. We appreciate all of you. But if you don't put a comment on there, we can't give you, we don't know who you are, so we can't leave. I'll give you a shout out. But thank you to the people that are lurking and just watching and enjoying the show as well.
Mhm.
All right. Bill and Chuck, I just want to thank you all again. Thank you so much for giving of your time and coming and hanging out with us on FNL. This was just a wonderful experience. It was even like it was before. It was just a wonderful experience the first time I met you guys. And it's even, oh my God, this is even better. I mean, it's just the
Thanks.
experience with the poetry and the music. Best wishes to both of you on your future projects, books, events, whatever is going on. Best wishes on that. And when time permits, I would love for you guys to come back and hang out with me again. You got to do it. You just got to do it. You're part of the FNL family. You
Thank
just,
you.
Really.
Thanks, Cheryl.
yeah. So tell us about the last segment, and then we're gonna.
Well, I say this. It's called Cusqueños. It's sort of about being in Cusco as a tourist, but also about the city or the town itself and the people there. Um, just as a note, the last few lines you'll hear is actually a Quechua, is in the Quechua language, which is the tribal language. But it was just my way of showing people what it's like going there, which is a really unique experience.
Okay. All right. Well, before we go there, I need to find out who the winner is. So, Bill and Chuck, what's the correct answer? How many calories on average are consumed per person at Thanksgiving dinner? Which one do you think it is?
Well, Chuck went low, I went high, so
I said 2,500.
I'm
2,500. What do you think,
saying
Bill?
45.
4,500. 4,500 is it?
Man, you would have won $1,000,000.
That is a
Oh, my
lot of
Lord.
calories. We be eating, don't we?
I know.
So, who are our winners? Do we have two winners
Yes,
tonight?
we do. We have exactly two.
All right.
We have exactly two. We have Mr. Brian Barsley from the Boogie Down Bronx and Miss Marilyn Ford. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Congratulations on the both of you. Bill, I'll get their
Yeah, get the
mailing
addresses
information to you. Yes. And so that you can send out. Congratulations. All right. Everyone have a nice weekend. We're going to end it with the final segment. Bill and Chuck, you all have a great weekend. Happy Veterans Day again to all of the veterans. I salute you. Thank you for your service. And join us next week for another amazing show. You guys take care. Thank you so much, Bill and Chuck.
Thanks so much.
Cusqueños. Up where the mountains curl like sleeping dragons, peaks piercing far above the clouds. In another world, 2 miles above sea level sits the center of the Incan Empire. Cusco, a papute, belly button of the world. Like a crouching panther, this place, all diagonal slopes, everything hard stone, boulders, smooth squares of gray granite the size of a room, cobblestones, loose ovals of softer pastels, and of course, interrupting the landscape is the weighted masonry of churches with arches, lifting statues, promising spirituality, but instead delivering conquest. In the morning comes the hammering from the town square. A stonemason crouches amid rocks, boulders, and stones. His song rings out with each ping of the steel striking the rock he works on. Not far, the finisher chips discreetly on the rough work, trimming the rock into shapes that could easily have come from a lathe. Then there are the people, the Cusqueños, trudging along the sloping roads and paths. They carry belongings or wares in the licla, colorful blankets sprouting babies, flowers, hay, or more stones. The wraps that wrap around stooping shoulders and seem to push the carriers into their own incline as they make their shuffling way up these narrow and steep streets, while we tourists steep cocoa-tea in our rooms, attempting to adjust to the heights. At midnight, we bolt awake, our bodies gulping air to catch breath. Feeling a tingling in fingers, we drown in thin air. The Cusqueños, like the stones surrounding them, are squat, brown, with hearts enlarged and noses slightly widened, equipment for the altitude. The old ones peer through occidental eyes, cracked and peeling from age and knowledge ancient and pure. The look says, Nucanchus augmenta casanchus, we will endure. Some notes of a religious nature. Jesus was sent to die for our sins, like some package from UPS. He delivered the goods to humanity, and we delivered him back to heaven, battered, beaten, mutilated. Some creation we turned out to be. A former life. I thought I saw John Fox today, riding the red Schwinn it seemed he always had. Then looking right, I saw a dog that might have been Heidi, except it was a lab. And stopping for those seconds on that street, I waited to smell honeysuckle. But the bike was quiet, lacking clothespin baseball cards, clattering against spokes. Then the ground the dog played on returned to today, and instantly, so did I.